Hi, I just wanted to have you point out one thing. We had a great interview this week in the podcast with Who's in the House with Michael. And we were talking to Jacquelyn Gernaey, who is the principal and president of 7-Star HR. And it's a great interview. Lots of good ideas for some small businesses that don't have access to big HR. I encourage you all to check it out. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We always love your comments. Thank you.
Work with the sales reps. First thing you want to do.
I feel that the statement you made about being in the trenches is important for all the leadership roles.
Probably true.
You really just, I can go back to my restaurant days. You can't manage a kitchen if I don't know what it takes to work those positions and cook, and how long it takes to get a food order, what the problems could be. Once you understand that better, you're much more supportive. You're able to be a teammate. You're able to lead, and so I feel that's a big piece, having those skills. So you're running this company in Plainview. How long did that go?
About 5 years.
So about 10 years total with the company?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Then what? Did you get remarried? Married?
No. Well, I did marry along the way. But what happened was, if this was a division of a pharmaceutical company, and pharmaceutical companies are looking for high gross net profits, right? High, 22% before
net.
Net before tax. That's really a tough thing. And I was not in the pharmaceutical, I was in the diagnostic. Remember the bacteria to figure out, And so we begged, we borrowed, we stole, we raped, we squeezed, finally they came and said to me, we need more. And I said, here's how you get it. Sell the company.
Well, in the diagnostics, it's a cost center. It's not a revenue producer, right?
Well, no. We sold product and equipment to help the laboratories identify it. Okay. So it was a revenue generator. Okay. Just not, and I've coached a lot of business owners since. If you can get in the 5 to 7, maybe really great 10% net, you're doing great. And they wanted 22%. So
it's funny you said that, because it's different by industry, right? Because I come from originally hospitality and managed P&Ls, and EBITDA in the restaurants I've run has been above 20, 30, 35 great. Even.
That's
you
perfect.
have to, because by the time the rest of it comes off, now you're struggling to get above 10% for real net.
Well, they're talking about net.
Yeah.
Income before tax.
Right.
So that's everything cleaned out.
Yeah.
That's what they were looking for. And I said, this is just crazy. They're going to kill this company. And so they hired me to sell the company, and I did. So that's how that went.
I'd like to believe, as the CEO or the president of the company, that you had a little bit of a golden parachute and got a little piece of the sales somehow.
You would think so, but I think they paid me $17,000.
Stop it.
That's it.
Can't be true.
And I finally, and it was kind of silly because, I said to them along the way, hey, I'm doing the selling of the company. What are you guys doing? And what am I getting out of this? And then they decided they were going to give me $17,000, which was absolutely
You really should have a broker, some type of brokering fee for making the transaction.
One would have thought something along those lines, right? But that didn't happen.
Okay.
So I took another position running as general manager of a company that was developing HIV vaccines. And that I was there, I don't remember, 3 or 4 years, and they were infringing a patent. Chiron, I don't know if you've heard of them, big in that industry, and they moved everything to China. And I certainly wasn't going there. So there you
So
go.
how'd you handle it? What was your next move from there?
Well, it was kind of nice because they decided they were going to let me go. And they had forgotten that they signed. Now I had wised up, you see, a little, and after I got paid so little.
Wised up.
So they, I signed an agreement with them that said if it wasn't for cause, they had to pay me a year's salary. And so they had totally forgotten that when they let me go. And then they came back to me, and the president then did, and said, what if you worked for half your salary? And I said, are you working for half your salary?
Okay.
And he said, no. And I said, I won't be either.
Right.
And I thought, now they wanted me to work 2 years to get 1 year's salary, when I could walk out of here with 1 year's salary.
And again, we're in the 90s now?
Yeah, we're now getting towards middle 97.
I'm still thinking with pay inequity and equal employment stuff. With a man, would they have done that then?
Well,
Today might be a little different.
Maybe not. I was the first female president in that $8.5 billion corporation.
$8.5 billion.
Billion.
And your little salary.
And they gave me $17,000.
Even the second time around with the 1 year salary.
Well, the 1 year salary, that one, I guess I was maybe making $100,000
but still,
by
it's
that
drop in
time.
a bucket for a massive.
But it wasn't that one was a startup.
Okay.
So that's different.
Okay.
Startup company.
Yeah.
Although they got it was a Chinese company, backed company, and they got lots and lots of cash. But the issue was not the money there. The issue was they were using these peptides, and the peptides infringed the patent. And literally somebody put those peptides in their pocket and went to China with them.
And different rules.
Well, in China, different rules. I mean, it was an interesting thing because they had me doing things that, change the date on your computer. So I'm on with my attorney, and he says, well, you got to do it. And the reason you've got to do it is if you don't, they won't pay you your year's salary. And guess what? That makes you have cause to say, I was doing this under duress.
Right.
And so therefore, that's what I did. And at that time, if you weren't employed, you were a consultant, because a consultant meant you were looking for a job. Mm-hmm. So I started as a consultant, and I got a few gigs in pharmaceutical companies because I had that background. And I was running from here in Long Island up and down the New Jersey Turnpike, which is where the pharmaceutical companies are. And I thought, this is just not what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I'd been running everything myself, and now I'm a consultant. You're the boss, and you're hiring me. Now I have to do what you say. Oh, I didn't like that. I was done with that.
And there's always been traffic. It doesn't matter what decade we're in. There's always been traffic.
It's awful. Crossing New York City.
Even 50 years ago was awful.
Yeah.
All right. So what was your next move?
So I started thinking, what do I want to do? And I thought, what I want to do is I want to do peer groups. We always in the microbiology area, we brought in peer advisors to tell us and guide us. And I thought, when I asked small businesses, why didn't you implement the reason that I really left the consulting was I'd make this nice book. Here's what you're supposed to do. And they would take it and put it on the shelf, and do nothing. And it was like, planning is a necessary thing, but not just for the sake of planning.
Right.
You should implement.
Right. You're going to implement it.
And that drove me nuts. So I decided that the reason they weren't implementing is they didn't have a constant advising group or somebody to advise them. And so I found this company called the Alternative Board, and they did peer advice, peer boards and coaching. And I bought a franchise in the Long Island, founded this in the Long Island area, and built my own business.
I have a little exposure to this. I don't know a lot about this. So now, if you're buying a franchise, your job is to find peer members to sign up to be on this board, and they're paying into this, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so your advisory fee, and then you find clients that want to hire this board.
No. So peer boards operate like this. Let's say there are 5 or 6 of us here, and we all own businesses. And getting a board of directors can cost you $1,000 or more now, probably, per person that sits on your board, right? Very expensive. So what this did is allowed 8 of us business owners to act as each other's board of directors, right?
Regardless of the industry.
Regardless of the industry.
Peering on processes.
We all hire,
like
we all fire, we all rent buildings, we all have employees, we got all that kind of stuff, you know.
I get that.
And it works great. You know, I had people that started with me that really were almost ready to go to jail. One guy was using the IRS money that he collected from his employees to run his business. And so I went in and said, here's the first thing we got to do. I got to keep you out of jail. So you got to get a lawyer. You got to do those kind of things. And, you know, 10, 15 years later, he was still with me and sold his business for $17 million. So
I just had another movie flash. Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
No. It's Jim Carrey. Oh, Liar, Liar. And he's in the courtroom, and he has to give advice to his, and he goes, just stop breaking the law. That's the advice for the attorney. Stop breaking the law. Can't tell a lie.
Well, that became a whole negotiation with the IRS, you know, to come clean before they threw him in jail.
Sure.
So, but a lot of difference. Very fun. Now, like I said, I have all of these people. I'm facilitating the board. I'm coaching them. And they really, I walk in and say, did you get this done? Did you get this done? Why not? What's holding you back? You know, asking questions, pulling things out of people. Now it's like they're working for me. Different feel from the consulting where I felt I was working for them.
Yeah.
Totally independent.
What was the name of the
Alternative Board?
Okay.
Still around. I still coach. Maybe 15.
So how long did you facilitate this board thing?
Well, I started that in '99, and it's still going.
You're still running?
I'm the primary owner. My husband was doing the marketing and sales. He's got a whole different story, but and he decided to retire, so we sold his part to a partner, and he's doing the marketing and building his own boards, and I'm just working with these people. Some I've had for 20 years.
That's great.
You would think they would have it.
Well, clearly they see benefit.
Well, They're not stupid. So to pay me every month.
Yeah, it's like an accountability coach at the very least.
You're absolutely right. And at this point, after 20 years, usually coaching, you don't say anything, you don't give your opinion, you just keep asking, well, what all these,
like a psychologist.
All you do is
let them find their own answers because they hear themselves talking.
Exactly.
I
all
know
of a sudden they go,
I know exactly how that works.
But at this point now, I've been with them so long that I can say, what are you thinking?
What was in your head?
But yeah.
I'm learning so much about you with this huge science background, and I know where we're getting to, and I'm just learning how ambitious you are to keep just pushing and pushing and pushing, and because there's more after this. So what's the next thing?
So about 12 years ago, I'm gone to a coaching client, and I go in, and he said, Jackie, I'm having trouble with hiring, and these employees are driving me nuts. And he said, I know you're here to teach me how to fish, to do the work, not for me to do it like a consultant. But when it comes to HR and hiring, could you just catch that fish, put it in the pan, put it on the plate, put the sauce on it, and feed it to me? And I went, oh, here's another opportunity. I wonder if my other clients, because I think I was coaching 38 at the time, feel the same way. And as it turns out, they were. Oh. They didn't like employees because they fought with each other. Petty things were going on. They were solving issues that instead of big picture things. And so thus the birth of effective hiring, which is where we started. I started first and said, let's get a process in place, and branded service, which means none of it belongs to me, but it's just the process that they do, and best of breed tools and all that kind of stuff as it changed over the years. And then about 6 or 7 years ago, they started asking me more for HR things, like, I don't have a handbook. This is happening. The laws keep changing. They keep adding on more and more HR laws. And so the birth of 7-Star HR.
Right. So initially, you're starting a kind of a recruiting staffing organization, right?
Well,
to help them hire people?
No, it was still a process. Okay. So here's the best of breed tools. I'll kind of teach you how to do it.
Okay.
But you do the work. Okay, so that's where it started. The next step was I bring on some high-level recruiting people, and we do it for you in the hiring.
Okay.
And then the same thing with the consultants. New HR consultants came on that were going to be able to actually do the work, do the manual, do the whatever it is.
Well, this is great because this serves a need for the smaller businesses, right? The independent businesses. Corporations, they have people in these positions. Everybody's layered up and everybody's removed from it. But a smaller business, they're kind of in the trenches. It's face to face.
And when the Society for Human Resources Management says you don't need a full-time HR person until you have about 120 employees. So there's a big gap in there between first employee and 120, and you need up at this end maybe some fractional people, a fractional on site that you can say, when somebody comes to complain, talk to Sue. She'll be here on Tuesday. And then you can go on doing your own thing. And then the little guys maybe just need some hours, 3 hours a month or whatever. So we have a whole ability to serve that entire market.
So is this where you are now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So name of the company?
7-Star HR.
7-Star HR.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only company, right?
Well, I
But it
still
has-
have the coaching.
Right, but for 7-Star HR, it has 2 divisions?
Well, it's not divisions,
No,
but
okay.
half of our revenue comes from hiring,
Yeah.
and half of our revenue comes from the consulting.
So you're actually doing the hiring for these smaller businesses?
Mhm.
They give you the criteria. You're going out and seeking
We-
whatever you got
we
to do. You're
create
doing the interview process.
ad.
You're vetting them out.
We'll do the whole thing.
And then you bring it to them and say, this is a person we think you should hire. Interview if you like them.
We'll do the background checks, and you're good to go.
That's terrific service. How far do you reach? Is it national?
It is.
That's great.
It is. Actually, we go up into Ontario, Canada. Obviously, over the time, we started out with 7-Star with just my 38 clients and proved everything, got the process all in place, got everything the way we wanted it. And then we started to go to other franchises within the alternative board. So now I could go elsewhere. People who knew me because I'd been around for some time. And then beyond that, now we market through LinkedIn, trusted advisors. We look for trusted advisors who want to bolt HR onto their coaching, consulting, or anything.
So Jackie, you've got this is big. You're a big company. You've got a lot going on. You have some staff, right?
Yes.
What do you focus on with your time as the leader of this organization? Where do you spend your time? I know we spend some time networking together.
Mhm.
I know you spend some time looking for talent on LinkedIn and stuff, but where do you actually focus your time as a
So I have a couple
president?
roles, I guess. I have somebody that manages all the HR consultants, and I just brought on somebody. My role has been to get new distributors, we call them, or partners. And now I brought somebody in to manage them, to help manage them is not the right word, to help them, call them, see what's going on, what are your clients saying, what do you need, is there anything we can help you? We have tools that are free, assessments and all sorts of stuff, because our mission really is to help them make money.
Do you spend most of your time looking for new business?
I do that. The other thing that I do is develop, understand the market and the laws, making sure that the company stays fresh on that. We have something called an HR MRI that assesses from soup to nuts anything. And so that has to as laws change.
I mean, those rules are constantly, right? State by state, they're all different.
So every day I'm on a listserv of attorneys seeing what's going on with labor law changes.
Wow.
So I do that. And I like to create solutions. So, for example, right now people are having trouble with retention. And so we created 2 products. And one is a relational onboarding. So onboarding usually is thought of as sign the I-9s, get the W-2, get 4s, and all those papers. And payroll companies really do a fine job at doing that. But what they don't do a fine job on is you need to meet with your peer. You need to understand what the mission, the values, of the cultural things, and you need to be made to feel like you're part of the team.
Right.
So we have a 6-month product that they can do that is totally customizable, that will take things from the CEO and, put his signature on cards and they can send it out it's automated. So that's one. And then we went beyond that to, that's great for those people who are new, but we need some sort of retention programs.
Right. How do you engage after they're already
After
in the
they're
system?
already on. So after that 6 months, what do you do and how can you automate it? And so we have put together a product that you can say, I want 5 touches in a year. I want 12 touches in a year. You pay by the touch. And we come up with a plan with you, and then it's all automated and happens.
This is fascinating for small businesses to have access to the things that larger companies normally have.
Right. And I came from a big company,
Yeah.
so I coach small businesses,
Yeah.
so I'm always
You see the missing links.
I'm trying to get to the small businesses that. The third thing that we recently brought in could be used in any size business, and that is burnout training. So we assess business owners first to see what they are or not doing that might be contributing to burnout. You don't have any values, you don't have a mission,
Emailing, texting all night,
whatever it is. And then the next thing, other piece of that is being able to assess the employees and see where are they on the burnout scale.
Like a temperature check?
Yeah. And then showing, obviously, the employee gets their own report and that's confidential, but then showing the business owner, here's a pie chart and here's where you are.
Wow, that's super interesting. So do you have some sort of assessment tool to measure the burnout? Like, when you go to the doctor's office, they hand you a form to find out if there's depression. There's 10 questions. And you've come up with a pattern. Have you created some sort of tool to
All
assess?
of our assessments are made on something called Qualtrics. Now, Qualtrics is something usually big companies use to assess their customer service. Like you might say, we're going to assess everybody that ever walked in the door here at Signature or whatever. But we used it to build first our HRMRI because we can have skip logic, it's a big company product and we pay a pretty good price for it. However, we can do any kind of assessment we want.
One of the things that I've seen that's similar to that, maybe you'll correct me, but SurveyMonkey. I've worked for companies that use it and it's customizable. They use it to assess different things. They might be using it to assess how things are going in the business or feedback on somebody that you work for or possibly about the company. What are the missing pieces? Is this tool you're talking about something like that?
So SurveyMonkey, I've used SurveyMonkey and it's a lovely tool, but it doesn't have the reporting capability or all of the bells and whistles that you would want to be able to do anything you want.
So to analyze the data, to come up with a
analyze the
result.
data, get out the
Yeah,
result.
so SurveyMonkey hands
manage.
you the info, then what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Now I
Yeah.
understand it better.
So it's a SurveyMonkey on steroids, if you want to
I put it
that
there
way.
so I can help get it in my mind right, so I understand how this is.
Right.
Makes a
It's
lot of
just
sense.
that it's got so many more capabilities.
Just small businesses, and some small businesses are actually big ones, but some are pretty small. Pricing must be affordable for this to be working. So do you price a la carte? Do you have packages? How do you price a client out?
Yes.
Good.
All those things.
Is everything a custom?
So let's talk about, we'll take the two things, hiring and then the HR consulting. Hiring, you can a la carte use our tools. So if you have 1 to maybe 10 employees and you have more time than you have money, we'll set you up with an applicant tracking system and then you can assess, shouldn't be a test, but assess the last candidate to see how they're going to fit into the organization. We'll do the background checks. You pick what you want us to do. You want us to do the first interviews, we can do that. And that can be as inexpensive as $450 for a 3-month time period, just using the applicant tracking system.
Okay.
So it's really can be doable, and you have a company that you can call, and I've got someone in charge of this, we call it the a la carte hiring, who calls and talks to people and makes sure they're using all of the bells and whistles, and sometimes they buy it for a month on end. There are multiple levels. So, we've got that level. Then we have what we call the hands off, meaning you give it to us, totally hands off.
You own it and produce the results.
We sell hours. We're not a recruiting company. We don't charge the 25 to 35%. So let's say you're hiring somebody for $100,000. If you wanted hands off, totally, fried in the pan and background checked and assessed and fed and all of that, with us, instead of paying 25 to 35,000 for a recruiter who doesn't usually do all those things and often throws resumes at you, we would charge maybe 8,000.
Sure, big difference.
So big difference, and we're really good at it. I've got really good people. 98% of the time, we can find somebody in 45 to 60 days.
In addition to that, from a conversation you and I had last week, you're spread across a broad variety of industries.
We're totally industry agnostic because the federal government doesn't care if you've got employees, right? You have to follow these rules.
Okay, so we spent a lot of time on your career, and we finished with the company that you own, run, operate now. It's HR Solutions.
7-Star HR.
7-Star HR. I'm sorry. 7-Star HR.
Providing HR solutions.
Providing HR solutions. That's what got stuck in my head. Jackie Gernaey. Now, what I want to add in is, what about all the other stuff? What are your hobbies? What other engagements? What other things are you involved in your life besides running organizations and trying to keep up with life in general?
So, in October, I plan my next year, all the marketing things that are going to happen, all of the board meetings that are going to happen, anything and everything that I want to do, and my vacation. And I vacation 10 to 12 weeks every year.
Good for you.
So I am a work hard, play hard person. Now, so I love to travel. That's one of the things I like to do. I've got little grandkids, and sometimes that means traveling. Sometimes that means dragging them here or there. We're taking them, some out of Texas and some out of Huntington to Barbados first week of August.
Excellent.
So it might be that, right? So I like, I like to be with friends. And
what about on the way up to here, before you got here? Sports, music, theater, any of those kinds of things that you were into as hobbies?
No music. Sports were way long time ago. In college and so forth, and I did some of those. No.
Okay.
Not those things.
What else
I did play bridge.
Okay.
I was a life master in bridge. I am a life master in bridge, but COVID kind of shut that all down.
That's too bad. I had took a peek earlier at your LinkedIn just to get a little flavor. And I saw some other things, some extracurricular activities, things that you're involved with besides
that I
business. Tell me about that.
So I am big on giving back. So I have two major things that I'm involved in to give back, and then do other things as they come up, which really I love ABA because they bring in the not-for-profits, and I can, at a minimum, give money, right? But the two things that I'm doing right now, I'm the deputy mayor in Belterre. That's my community give back. And Belterre's a little, for those of you who don't know, a little village outside of Port Jefferson.
Is a deputy mayor a position that you're appointed to or elected to?
Elected.
You are.
I was first appointed by the mayor and then elected
So
thereon after.
as deputy mayor, that means you're like the assistant with the mayor? You work?
Yeah, I become whatever the mayor doesn't want to do, or when the mayor's out of town, I'm the
I'm very
mayor.
curious about this. It's a small community. What does a mayor or a deputy mayor do in a small community?
So we protect the look and feel of our village. So we have a budget, we collect taxes, and we provide benefits to the, so I'm negotiating contracts with the garbage pickup people. We have our own back door, that they want to, so they get extra service,
Okay.
right? So you don't have to take your garbage out to the street
I'll
or
come right up
whatever.
to get it. Okay.
We have a beach, so there's that. We have a park, so there's dealing with some of those kind of things. We had a meeting today's the 21st. I guess that was yesterday. We had a meeting. I'm busy. I can't
You are
keep it all
busy.
together. And we make decisions on traffic and you name it.
Historical stuff with buildings?
Well, there is a zoning board of appeal, and there is a building, and we're big on trees.
Okay.
We go bananas if you start cutting good trees down.
Are you talking for like the town cutting down trees on the road? Or are you talking about
I'm
people
talking
taking
about
them down
the-
at properties?
On the properties.
Yeah.
We are codes, so we have our own set of codes,
Okay.
and we operate like a town.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
It's interesting too.
You're a very, very busy woman.
I am. And the other thing that I'm big in is I'm the trustee of, which is it's called Elders in my church. And we do the governance of the church.
That's
So,
terrific.
give back.
That's terrific. I admire your energy.
I have a lot of energy. I'm not young, but I have a lot of energy.
You do. You're still pushing. And
I like it.
yeah, it keeps you going, right?
Yeah.
It keeps you going. We live in a great community. Well, this was great to have you this afternoon, Jackie. We're going to have, Charlie will post this again on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. The full-length interview with Jackie today will be on my YouTube channel, possibly named Who's in the House? And still looking for some suggestions. Please hit the likes. Please subscribe. Jackie, is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience today about yourself that they might not know, or about the companies that we talked about today?
I think if you have issues that you don't know what you're doing, contact us. We have a free HR MRI. It doesn't cost you anything.
That's amazing.
So, and other free assessments too. So we're a give back
Great.
group.
As the audience knows, Charlie will post your information. The graphics will be up so people can reach out to you directly and maybe do an MRI and sit the situation, or even just ask you for health advice.
And
you can point
that's
them in the right direction.
totally, we have somebody that does that. Just a quick question. If you have that, we'll happily give you information.
Well, I'm so glad you're here today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Well, I
I appreciate it.
appreciated it. It was fun.
All right, terrific. Have a great afternoon.